Hi everyone, welcome to A Stitch in Time. Today is Wednesday, December 15th, 2021, and this is episode 204. I know we have some new viewers who have found the podcast via Vlogmas, so first of all, I want to say a special hello and welcome to you. Thank you for checking out the podcast. With that in mind, I thought this might be a good time to very briefly reintroduce myself and tell you what you might expect from the podcast. So my name is Carol. I can be found on Ravelry as Knits and Pearls, and I live in the Fraser Valley of British Columbia, Canada, about 60 miles or 100 kilometers east of Vancouver. These days, I consider myself primarily a knitter, but I have been a lover of the fiber arts since probably the age of maybe 8 or 9. My first introduction to knitting was through brownies. We had to knit a square to add to the little rug that sat around our toadstool. And I know I learned to sew soon after that too. My mom would not let me use her sewing machine until I got a good grade in my sewing class in grade 8. So before that, I used to sew together Barbie clothes by hand. Over the years, I have worked in a fabric store, a craft store, and a yarn and needlework store. So I have been lucky enough to combine my hobbies and my employment. I guess I'm technically retired, but I don't think I'll consider myself really retired until my husband is. But I have not worked outside the home for a number of years now. I can't remember how many. I started this podcast, I think it's coming up on 5 years in January. If I'm remembering correctly, it's either 4 or 5 years. And I started it because I enjoyed podcasts so much and was inspired by them and learned a lot from them, and I felt like I had something to offer our knitting community, and so I decided to finally sit down and do it myself. I find it is an extension of my creativity, and I really love the interaction that it brings me with the fiber arts community. I have an Instagram account, but I always say I'm kind of an Instagram fail. The handle, is that what it is? Is listed down below in the down bar and the show notes. I don't know if I've ever posted anything, and now and again I do go on and look at some people's posts, so feel free to friend me on there if you like. I think that's about it. As I was preparing for today's episode and writing up my show notes, I realized that even though I mostly knit, this is a very multi-craftual episode because I have some knitting and some weaving and some quilting to talk about today. A couple of business things first. I just want to remind you that Vlogmas is going on, and I am participating again this year. And so you can find my Vlogmas episodes, which I post, I think so far daily. You can find them on YouTube. My channel is called A Stitch in Time Podcast. You can also find them on Ravelry in the A Stitch in Time Podcast Ravelry group, and I also have a blog, a Stitch in Time podcast.blogspot.ca, I believe, and that is I'm also posting them there, and I do post show notes in all 3 locations also, but not for Vlogmas. It's too much work, but you can always go on to Ravelry if you're interested in something about a knitting project. And if you have any questions, by all means, the best way to do that is to leave a comment on YouTube or a private message on Ravelry, and I will answer your question, usually right then, if not on a future episode. So I hope that explains everything. Another thing I wanted to talk about is an idea I have for a new make-along in 2022. So as I was preparing for making Christmas and birthday gifts, I was rummaging through my stash, and it occurred to me yet again what a very large stash I have. I always say I don't feel guilty about my stash, and I don't. I can afford to buy all this yarn. I'm not in debt over it. I'm not depriving anyone of something they need. At the same time, however, I have so many beautiful yarns that never get the love and appreciation they deserve because I am constantly attracted by the new and shiny. So with that in mind, I am designating for myself 2022 as the year of the stash. And I'm not saying I'm not going to buy any yarn at all in 2022, but I am going to try very hard to shop my stash first and to resist temptation of all the beautiful new yarns that come across my radar. So I wondered if any of you were in the same boat and if you wanted to take part in that same challenge. If so, if I have enough response, then I am going to begin starting January 1st, running through December 31st, 2022, host this make-along. You can use your yarn in any way you like, knitting, crocheting, weaving. Am I missing anything? And stash will simply be defined as anything acquired prior to January 1st, 2022. So I haven't worked out all the details yet. There'll definitely be a chatter thread. I am planning to offer prizes in the form of patterns and project bags that I sew. I've chosen those because I figure, first of all, if we're taking part in this, it means we don't need any more yarn. Plus, yarn is expensive to acquire and to ship. Patterns are very easy to use as prizes because I can gift them on Ravelry, and I can quite economically sew and ship a project bag most places. So that's my idea. Please let me know either in the YouTube comments or in this episode thread on Ravelry or via private message if you're interested in participating. And if I get enough numbers, then I'll definitely go ahead and open that up in the Ravelry group. As forementioned, Ravelry is basically the only social media platform that I really engage in. And I'm sorry that leaves out Instagram users, and I'm sorry that it leaves out people who might not be on Ravelry, but that is what works best for me. Okay, what am I wearing? You know, it's often too warm during the day inside to wear my knitwear. I live in a relatively mild climate, but it's a little chilly out there today. In fact, I don't think we're supposed to get snow tonight, but we might get a few flurries early tomorrow. And I know parts of the Lower Mainland and Fraser Valley have seen some snow in the last couple of days. So this is my Dusty Road by Carol Feller. I knit it from some, I was going to look this up. It is Malabrigo Arroyo. I think it's Purpurus colorway. Anyway, the details for this, I'll provide a link in the down bar in the show notes for my Ravelry project page. And so yeah, it's a very simple sweater, except it has these beautiful lace sleeves and then this little lace that travels down the side of the sweater. And what I like about it is because the sleeves are open, it's not quite as warm as a full-on, solidly knit sweater. But I have to say, when you run outside to go bring in the garbage containers, etc., man, does that cold wind ever go through all these little holes. Ask me how I know. Okay, it is time for all of my projects. So first up is a knitting finished object or finished project. And this I started way back in April for my daughter-in-law Stephanie for her birthday, which is at the end of December. And as I was going through patterns on Ravelry looking for a suitable pattern for her wedding shawl, I came across this one and just knew I had to knit it for her at some point. And I think even before their wedding, I had purchased the yarn and started it. And then I set it aside for months and months and months and pulled it out this December. So the pattern is called Mermaid's Song. It is by Susanna I.C. I think I accidentally called it Mermaid's Tale on one of my Vlogmas episodes the other day, but no, it is Mermaid's Song. There's a good look at it there. It is knit from Sweet Georgia Yarns Superwash BFL and Silk Lace Weight in the Mermaid colorway. And as you can see, it's a kind of a crescent shape, has a stockinette stitch main body, these beautiful cable-y bit under there, and then this lovely delicate lace edging, which is finished with pearls on the points of all those little points. I guess that's the best way to describe them, isn't it? It was not the, it wasn't difficult to knit, but it didn't fly off my needles. You knit the lace edging first. So basically from here to here. And it was, I think, an 18 row repeat, and it was not very intuitive. I had to look at the instructions all the time, pretty well every row. And I had to repeat that 25 times. So once that was done, picked up along the edge of the edging, along here, and then starting in the middle, let's see, where's the middle? Here you go. Starting in the middle, you work a series of short rows to create this crescent shape. And then you bind off, well, you do a kind of a garter stitch edging with this eyelet, these eyelet holes, and then bind it off. That part was pretty easy. The blocking was a nightmare, in part because I miscounted and I had not lined up the center point with the center of the shawl properly. And I was trying to pin them out so they would be form a nice smooth line, crescent shaped line, and also be approximately the same distance away from each other. But it took literally hours to do, and it doesn't usually take me that long to block a shawl. But I do think in the end it was all worth it. It is beautiful, and I think that Stephanie will really like it. That's one thing I learned when we started discussing whether or not I was going to make her wedding shawl. She was very enthusiastic about my shawls in general, and so I know it's something that she will wear. Oh, you can hear the pearls hitting the floor. At that time I actually gave her one, and I've seen her wearing it on multiple occasions, so that makes me feel good. I know that this will get some use. And if you are new, my daughter-in-law is very fond of mermaids, and in fact has a couple of mermaid tails that she has learned to swim in, and she's made some really pretty bikini tops with like pearls and gold braid and all these shells and all these things. So she has these mermaid costumes, and just into mermaids. Every time I see something mermaid, I think of her and want to buy it, but resist most of the time. So when I saw that shawl, as I said, when I was looking for patterns for her wedding shawl, I just knew that it had her name on it. And then when I found the yarn with that colorway name, it just all came together. I am drinking some delicious new tea that I bought last weekend down in Vancouver at Granville Island. It was from the Granville Island Tea Company. I think that's what it's called. It's an English breakfast tea, and it is so good. And I don't think I've had any other kind of tea since. So I better start rationing myself. Although I may be able to get some more this weekend. I can't explain what it is I love about it, but I just do. Okay, I have a knitting work in progress also. Oh, first off, here's the label for the yarn I used for the mermaid song shawl. So I have been, well, I guess first off I should say, if you were watching my previous regular episode, I did show you an Advent project that I had started. And several days into Advent, I realized that it just wasn't speaking to me. And what I have decided to do with my Advent minis this year, which I got from Fiber Nymph Dye Works. It's their, I don't have it written down here because I never remember the long name, 2021 Winter Magical Holiday Countdown Collection. It is beautiful, and I've had a lot of fun opening those up every day. If you're interested, you can watch my Vlogmas episodes, and I always open it on air. What I have decided to do is wait until after Christmas, and I'm going to weave with them. I'm thinking about doing a scarf and have several strands of each colorway run vertically as the warp, separated by a neutral. I'm leaning towards black or maybe a charcoal gray, and then I will weave with the neutral. So what I'll end up with is a scarf with vertical stripes in all these different colorways running through it. So yes, I don't have an Advent project to share with you this week, but I have been working on my Christmas socks, which are also from Fiber Nymph Dye Works. Her name's just a little too long to fit it in half. This is the Mountain Tweed BFL base, and this is the Cozy Mountain Christmas colorway. So I've made a fair bit of progress on these the last week or so. I kind of stalled out a little bit on them while I was working on other things. So here's the yarn in the cake. And I'm working 2 at a time on 2 separate needles. You probably just heard my furnace kick on. Hopefully it's not too loud and distracting, especially if you have headphones on. So I have one sock where I've done the heel and the entire gusset. And the heel is done. I think this color is vanilla. It's just an undyed version of this yarn. So, like how that's coming along. And then this one I have done the heel. I've picked up for the gusset, and I think I've only done like 3 or 4 rounds so far. So I'm a little bit behind on this one. So enjoying those. I'm hoping to have them done to wear on either Christmas Eve or Christmas Day. We'll see. That's my motto these days, is just we'll see, because I just feel, I made that project bag for myself a few years ago. Yeah, especially I think this really began at the beginning of the pandemic, and when life just became sort of something unpredictable. I'm becoming resigned to that idea of you just don't know what tomorrow's going to bring, and you can only plan so far ahead, and you just kind of have to roll with the punches because especially with COVID-19 regulations, they've come and gone, and over the last couple years. So yeah, I've really sort of adapted this, I guess, a laissez-faire attitude, which is probably good in some ways and maybe not so good in others. Okay, that's it for knitting. On to the weaving, and I literally just took this scarf off the loom just before I came in to record. So I am weaving a scarf for my sister for her birthday, which is at the beginning of January. I'm using, or I did use, for the warp, I used this Berocco Ultra Alpaca Fine, and it's colorway 1245. I don't know what they call it, but it's just black. And then for the weft, I used this really old Knit Picks yarn, deep stash, called Imagination in the 7 Dwarves colorway. And both yarns are a wool, alpaca, and nylon blend. I think they both have nylon, yeah. So I thought they would go well together. They're both fingering weight. I still have the Imagination wound up on the shuttle, and I realized I didn't even use up a whole 50 grams of this, which I'm kind of sorry about because I may have been able to use this for both the warp and weft, because I think it would have looked really cool crisscrossing itself, but I didn't think I would have enough. So, c'est la vie. There I am throwing my French around. Anyway, here it is, all woven up. So I have not yet soaked this and laid this out to dry. I am anticipating that it will bloom a little bit. The yarn is already very sticky. I really enjoyed weaving with it because it just seemed to stay put, and it just felt really good. I would bring the heddle back, and it would just had a nice feeling as it would square up, tighten up these weft yarns. It just felt really good to weave, and I finished this way more quickly than I even realized. I sat down to work on it yesterday, and then I realized just how far along I was, and by the time I went to bed last night, I think I only had about 3 or 4 inches left to weave, and I did that early this afternoon, I guess. So I have not had a chance yet to knot my fringe. I did a couple on each end and a few in the middle. You can see that last row of weaving is kind of loose, but the knots will cinch that up. I've got to put it somewhere where it's light and you can see it. And then this is the other end. I have not yet taken out the header, so all of this white yarn will come out. And then I will knot this end too. This strand here is just the end of the like where I started weaving, and once it's been washed, I'll be able to snip that. I just have woven some back on itself here. Yeah, so because this yarn is very sticky, I'm not worried about the ends all coming apart and being frayed, and so I am just tying knots in groups of 4, and then once I've washed and laid it out to block, I will take my rotary cutter and just do a nice straight cut across the fringe, and then it will be done. So I don't want to handle it too much because the things are not completely secure, but look, it's just really cool for me to see this really for the first time as a length. I noticed while I was weaving that some sections the colors would go right across and you would see like a horizontal striping effect, but then other places you've got this kind of zigzaggy effect from the way the colors lined up. So I think it looks really cool and a very rich. I was worried when I started that it might be too rainbowy, but I don't think it is. It is, I think in this light, it is late afternoon, so I only have the overhead light on. The colors in this light look a little bit darker and richer than they are, but I think the black is also playing a role there and making them appear so. And that's not a bad thing because they were pretty bright, you can see, without it. So yeah, I'm really happy with this. Hopefully she likes it too. She told me she has 2 winter coats. One is red and one is black. So that's the reason I chose this mixture of yarns. And I'm not sure exactly how long it turned out to be. If I measure, I'm 5'3", so let's say tip to tip is 63, and another 7 inches, maybe about 70 inches without the fringe, so that's good. That's about what I was looking for, 70, 72, something like that. So yay! Now I'm so excited about warping up my loom again and doing another project, but I don't think that's going to happen before Christmas. In fact, I can almost guarantee it. Okay, just checking my show notes here. Yes, I told you it was a Multicraftual episode. I also have quilting. I finished my Bargello tree skirt just a couple of days ago. So I've been waiting and waiting and waiting for my order from Connecting Threads to get here, and it finally showed up, and then I went right to work on my tree skirt. So as a reminder, this is a pattern by Sassy Fabrics, and it uses, I'm just looking over there because I've got the sheet for it, it uses the Quilt As You Go kit by June Taylor. Actually, I'm just gonna grab that kit and the template that comes with it, because I know not everybody watches Vlogmas and will have seen it. So I'll be right back. Okay, so the kit comes with pre-printed batting that's labeled in this fashion. Have these wedges drawn on them, and they're numbered from 1 to 16. And then you can, if you want, you can just sew wedges together in solid fabrics. You can also join strips of 2.5-inch strips and sew them kind of randomly together, or you can do what I did and create this Bargello. I don't even know what that word means. I just happened across this video on YouTube from Shabby Fabrics and fell in love with the project. So in this, I'm assuming a Bargello, maybe they're all spirals. In any case, these strips are arranged in such a way that the colors of fabric you use create a spiral effect, and I just thought that was so cool. So with the kit, you get the pre-printed batting and you get this template. So unfortunately, because I'm still kind of a newbie at quilting, I wasn't careful enough to do exact 1/4-inch seams. Mine were obviously slightly more than, and so when I laid this template on top of my wedges, the lines did not all match up. But I just lined up this bottom line with my bottom seam of my fabric wedge, and then I used this as a guide to cut out, and it all worked out fine. Because I was consistently inconsistent or I consistently sewed a slightly greater than 1/4-inch seam, all the fabrics lined up. It was very easy to put together. And then I bound it in a complementary fashion, or fabric I should say, and it was done. So just as a reminder, the fabric collection I used was called Morris Holiday from Moda. and it just features all these beautiful metallic prints. I'm just going to go right around the skirt now that they're all sewn together, and you can see that the spiral effect is starting. It's just by offsetting the colors that are being used. Love these gorgeous rich reds. I used this one as the backing, which is also the only consistent strip throughout. I was using a jelly roll and I didn't have enough of any one strip to do the whole thing. So what I did is I found ones that were similar and I kind of alternated them, used them in place of each other. Some like, let's see, this one is a very similar overall look to that one, as is this one and this one, and so it's not super noticeable that they're different. These reds are really close to each other. Anyway, it all worked out, and I'm happy with it. I don't know if I stand up, maybe I can show it to you all in one, but I did take some photos so that you can see it. So I don't think I'm far enough away. I know what I'll do. I'll just push the ironing board out that you're sitting on, and I'll stand up here and then I'll bring it back in. So hang on, you're going for a ride. Then you can see all the setup in my craft room. Hopefully that's far enough. There you go. Not exactly all in the picture, but you get the idea. You can definitely see that spiral effect. So I was very happy to finish that. I think I finished it the day after we put our tree up. It looked so bare on the floor underneath it, but now it looks much better. Okay, how's that? Luckily, supply chains are flowing again, and I did actually, as of yesterday, I've received all of my outstanding orders. I did receive some additional quilting fabric and tools in my order from Connecting Threads, but I showed them during Vlogmas. I'm not going to bother today. I also received an order from Knit Picks that contained some gift items for my daughter-in-law. Sorry, my computer's kind of, you see the lighting kind of flickering there. I've put together like a beginner knitters kit for my daughter-in-law for Christmas, including some interchangeable needles and some yarn and various notions. And then I did receive, I'd kind of forgotten about this, earlier this year I joined the Encore Yarn and Fiber Club from Fiber Nymph Dye Works, and it involved 3 different shipments, one sort of additional shipment from clubs that she has had in the past. So the first one I received was from the Just Desserts Club. This one was from the Happy Hour Club, which I had not participated in any of these 3 clubs that are being featured, so I thought it'd be a neat way to do it. So this month's colorway was called Galaxy Cocktail, and was based on the colors in this picture. I had never heard of a Galaxy Cocktail before, but oh man, it looks so gorgeous. And look at the yarn. Be still my heart. I just love this. I cannot wait to knit this up. And added to that, look at this beautiful, fun stitch marker. Or I guess it's a progress keeper. So that was such a nice surprise. I did get the shipping, and then I remembered that it was coming, uh, and then I was really happy it actually made it through all the delays. Actually came quite quickly. So I have one more shipment from this club that is, I guess, probably gonna arrive February. I would guess. Must be. Yeah, look how pretty. I adore this colorway. It's gorgeous. So that's the thing. I have so many nice yarns and I don't always knit with them. So I've really got to make a point to do it. I'm thinking what I might do is maybe designate a sock yarn to knit each month. And that would, sort of get 12 skeins of sock yarn for sure that get knit up. I mean, I pretty well do that anyway because I always have a stockinette or a pair of stockinette socks going. But if I sort of chose them ahead of time, maybe like an advent, open them each month, and kind of by the end of the year would certainly be a surprise as to what's in that month's package. It might be make it kind of fun having like my own yarn club. I know it's not a new idea; people have done this before, but I'm thinking about that. I should say I just started thinking about that like this minute. I apologize. I know the image is flickering, but I'm not sure what to do about it. And I've tried a couple things and it's still doing it. So please bear with me. Not a professional here. I had another very large and much anticipated acquisition arrive on my doorstep yesterday, and that is a new treadmill. I had ordered it back, I think, at the very end of October. And because of all the floods and road closures, etc., it took a really long time to get here. But it's here, and Cameron put it together for me last night, so I got to try it out. I've never had a treadmill before. I've never even walked on a treadmill before, but I really have been wanting one. I think it really especially struck me this year with the number of times that my walking was interrupted or disrupted by various weather conditions, with the really hot weather in the summer, the smoky skies, and then tons of rain this fall. And it just really got in the way of my desire to walk most days. I know that when I walk on a regular basis, I more easily stay at a healthy weight and I keep my blood pressure down. And it's just, I know it's good for me. It can be hard to talk myself into when the weather is really crappy outside, or sometimes out of safety in terms of smoky skies. I can't do it at all. So this way I'll be able to get up and walk inside if I want to. In fact, I am planning to kind of adjust my daily routine, and instead of getting up and having a cup of tea and knitting like I do most days, I plan to get up, work out on the treadmill, and shower, and then sit down and start my day. And I have a feeling I will, or I'm hoping anyway, to be maybe even a little more productive that way, because I do sometimes tend to like, well, maybe I'll just knit a little bit longer and go for a walk in a little while. And then before I know it, it's noon and I haven't done a thing. So that's my hope. So, if you've been watching Vlogmas, you'll know what I've been up to for the past couple of weeks. But if you haven't, here's a brief rundown. So, obviously preparing for Christmas, doing a lot of making. As you have seen, we've got our Christmas lights up, we have our tree and our decorations done. Most of the presents are bought. They still have to be wrapped, still have to do Christmas cards, and I know the days are just flying by. Really need to give the house a good going over, and obviously closer to the date to do the big Christmas dinner shopping trip. I was hoping to make a couple of table runners and placemats to match the tree skirt. That's looking less likely. I have one gift left to make, and that is a pair of felted slippers for Cameron. Um, I've made him numerous pairs before. It's from this pattern from Fiber Trends, the family, what does it say? Family Classic Felt Slippers. I do the felted clogs for myself. He prefers this style, which is good because they take less time than mine and less yarn. I have not finalized my color choice. I'm pretty sure I have 2 skeins of black Peyton's Classic wool in my big bag of feltable worsted weight wool. So I think they're going to be black. And I'm hoping to start them tomorrow while he's at work. We had a really fun Saturday. We went into Vancouver to go pick up some Christmas gifts. And we walked, we did walk on the seawall for a while. We had planned to walk from Brockton Point to the Lionsgate Bridge, but it started to pour rain when we were getting closer to the bridge, and we decided to just turn around. We hadn't brought umbrellas. We were dressed warmly. We had, outerwear on, but we decided, yeah, let's just turn around. And unfortunately, it didn't take that long for that shower to pass, and it cleared up, so we could have done it, but by that time we were getting hungry anyway, and the gifts we wanted to pick up were from Steamworks Brewery, or Steamworks Brewing Company, I think it's called. So we had already planned to go and have lunch there and then pick them up. Unfortunately, they didn't have the style of glasses that we were hoping to get. Cameron had bought one in the summertime when we were there, and then we had bought 3 additional ones for our sons and our son-in-law. And then we were kind of saying later, well, why didn't we get one for our daughter? She drinks beer. And then our daughter-in-law does, not as much, but she does. And so we decided, well, we should get some for them too, and then get them some of the Steamworks beer to go along with it. So unfortunately, they were out of the style we wanted, but we got a couple of glasses in a different style. And so with the couples, we'll give them one of each style, and then our son will get the original one. So it'll all work out. We are going to be heading back to Vancouver this coming Saturday. This time we're going to a Vancouver Canucks hockey game. The company that Cameron works for has a couple of different kinds of seasons tickets. One in the stands, and then one in this restaurant. And they have them for people for their. Sorry, stumbling over my words. They have them so that their salespeople and regional managers and such can take customers out. And so that is what we're doing. We have 2 couples that we'll be hosting, and we're in the restaurant, so have it's an afternoon game, late afternoon game. So I guess we'll have a late lunch, early dinner, and then you're inside the restaurant for your meal, and then when the game starts, you have these special seats that you go to, and then they continue to serve some snacks and things throughout the game. So we've been lucky enough to do that several times before, and it's always a fun occasion. It would be nice if it wasn't quite so close to Christmas, because that's going to basically eat up Saturday, but it's fine. We'll have fun. Apparently, I've met one of the couples before on a prior work occasion. I don't remember them, but I probably will once I reacquaint myself with them. The other couple I have not met, but Cameron, I know, really likes this customer, so yeah, it'll be good. Um, so yeah, we're just in the near future, just continuing to prep for Christmas, and then we have a lot of family uh, get-togethers over the holidays. So we are on Christmas Eve having our daughter and son-in-law and grandchildren here because they are doing something with my our son-in-law's family on Christmas Day. So they're going to come for Christmas Eve this year. The next day, our two sons, our daughter-in-law and our daughter-in-law's parents, are going to come have dinner with us. And I think the kids are going to come in the morning and unwrap presents like they usually do. Then on the 28th, we're getting together with my family. Up until the year before the pandemic, we would gather as a family for Christmas dinner. And we've decided to let that tradition go, and instead we're replacing it with an appy, like a appy night. A get together. We'll all bring appetizers to share and exchange our gifts. Won't be quite the same, but at least we'll all get to be together. And then on the 30th, we're heading over to Vancouver Island. We're going to go see Cameron's mom. One night we are staying in Victoria with one of his brothers, and then we're going to head up island a few hours north to spend New Year's Eve with another of his brothers. He has two. And then, leading into my something good for this episode, we are going to have 3 days by ourselves in a seaside resort. Actually, we stayed at this place a couple of years ago, and it's right on the beach. We're renting a unit that has a little living room area, a kitchen, and then a separate bedroom, and has a balcony, overlooks the ocean. Easy access to the beach, go for walks. Don't care if it rains or shines. It's been a hell of a year, and we are so looking forward to a holiday that is just a holiday. We have been able to get up to the cabin a little bit this year, but they've been sort of work weekends most of the time, at least for Cameron. And so, yes, we are just going to have 3 days to just chill, and I cannot wait. So that is my something good. And on that note, it is now after 4:30. I did get today's Vlogmas up already, so now I'm going to go and edit this and hopefully get it up before Cameron gets home. And then we got to figure out what we're doing for dinner because I forgot to take anything out of the freezer this morning. So we'll play that by ear. I would love to think that I will have another episode up before the end of the year, but it is doubtful looking at the way the holidays land and just all the things we have going on. So I think it's more reasonable to expect another regular episode sometime early in the new year. In the meantime, if you want to catch up on what's going on around here, you can watch the next 9 days of Vlogmas. Please give me some feedback about the Year of the Stash make along if that's something that you are interested in participating in. I mean, you are not committing to like, yes, you have to be there every month. I just want to gauge the general interest, and if there's enough people that are interested, then I'll go ahead and set that up. If not, then I'm just gonna be doing it on my own. So if you feel like you need a little bit of motivation and some cheerleading and some company in that, and I know there's another word that's not coming out, you know, think about it. Maybe that's something you'd like to take part in. Okay, so I'm just going to say happy holidays because that covers them all. Happy New Year. That's so strange to think that I'm not going to see some of you. Well, I don't see you, but you know what I mean. It seems strange that I won't have another regular episode until the new year. I can't believe we're almost at the end of 2021. It just seems incredible. But I wish you all well. Um, Wish you joyous days ahead and healthy ones. Take care. Thank you so much for watching today and for all year long. And I will see you again in 2022. Bye for now.